So a very good morning to everybody and welcome along to our Business Spotlight interviews. My name's Ron Maycock. I'm the owner of Action Coach Castleford and Business Performance UK. And I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Emma Hollis. Emma, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
So Emma is the founder and managing director of Pyramid 8, mysteriously titled, and we'll be hearing a lot more from Emma in just a few moments about her business. Before we do that, though, I really wanted to explain what the purpose of these interviews actually is. Now, we're surrounded by some amazing businesses in our area. Each have got their own stories, and these interviews help us share their journeys, highlight their achievements, and ultimately maximize their exposure, all in the name of abundance. And it's for benefit of businesses, not just in the Yorkshire region, but right across the UK and increasingly internationally as well. So it's a great showcase opportunity to highlight all the great things that are actually going on. So without further ado, Emma, it's over to yourself. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about Pyramid 8?
Okay, so Pyramid 8, myself and Andrew set up Pyramid 8 16 years ago. So actually, just as we were entering a recession and we decided that we wanted a recruitment business, and neither of us had ever worked in recruitment. So away we went.
Good
a long time ago.
And actually, as someone highlighted this morning, actually on the news, starting in a recession, you know, you're in pretty good company. So Facebook and people like that all started in the prime of a recession. So, you know, big shoes to follow. And, you know, it was always the right thing. So you said it's a recruitment business. So tell me a little bit more about that. What kind of things do you do?
So we're in a space that we work with clients that we've worked with for a long time. So we have part of the business where we put interim people in healthcare, predominantly NHS and social care, along project and programme management. And what works really well is the people that we work with, we've known many years, the clients and the candidates, and it is really a 360. But yeah, it's a great part of the business to work in. So
was that your background or Andrew's background who had the connections with the, or neither of you? Was this just you stumbled across the right opportunity?
I think, you know, it's a bit of everything, and it's about the wanting to succeed and wanting to pick the market space. So we previously we did work together, but not in recruitment. And I did have some contacts within the NHS, and it just unfolded that the recruitment went down that avenue. We had consulted with clients in our previous job, and we did sell project and programme management training. So it was the understanding of the project management. That's why we call Pyramid 8. That's part of the reason. And so that's how it started. And yeah, we still do that, and we love that. We're passionate about making a difference.
Yeah, fantastic. And as well as the NHS and healthcare sectors, then what else are you actually doing?
So where we are geographically based, so we're in West Yorkshire, and we are just at junction 32 of the M62. So we're where the A1 and the M62 cross almost. So we've got a great location. We've been here 16 years. We work with SMEs. We get to know the business owners, the structure of the business, and over the years we'll place for them anything from a receptionist to a managing director, and we do operatives and FLTs as well. So if we need, so we've got different people here would supply those candidates. So yeah, it's evolved where we've got a local market and a local space where we're well known for candidates and clients.
Do you see yourself more candidate-led or client-led? I know there is a balance between, but where do you actually see yourself as primarily?
Okay, so right now, the change in the market has been very much a focus on candidates. It's candidate-led.
Candidate-led, is that due to a shortage of skill sets generically across the board, or?
So listening to people I know that in business and HR managers, I've been hearing the phrases, I have never seen anything like this in 22 years. What is going on? Where's the commitment to the process from the candidates? And especially when they've been trying to recruit the roles that they would always recruit themselves, they've struggled. So that's when we work together and help them out with that. But it's about educating now clients to move quicker on candidates, because there's less to pick from, and the time, well, basically it's closing in, really.
Are you finding that people's motivation to make a move is maybe at times under question? There's people that I've spoken to in different sectors of recruitment that are saying that there is a much higher likelihood of counter offers, of people being literally hung on to at all costs by their current employers. So is that noticeable at the moment, that there's less commitment to make a move if things can be sorted out on the doorstep?
Right. So is there less commitment to move? Then listening to what you're saying, yes, I agree with what you're hearing, that candidates are being counter offered, but I've heard something really interesting just this last week, of someone I know that took somebody into their business and trained them up with their skill set. It's a sales role, invested time, probably about 6 weeks in, and then they resigned. Their previous employers come back to them and said, will you come back, and here's some more money. So the counter offer at the point of resignation is now moving to, oh, they've gone, we can't fill it, we can't place that, let's go back. So yes, it's candidate led.
It's interesting how it's happening. It's I just wonder how much of this has come out of our old friend of lockdown and COVID, in terms of people's not their values, but what they hold important to themselves in terms of working conditions, hybrid working from home. Have they started to become a little bit more aware that old style employment contract isn't actually what they want, and if someone can, furnish their needs moving forward, that's where they're going to stay or move to?
So what's going to keep people, what's going to make them move? I think, to answer your question, after the lockdown, the amount of people that wanted a working at home role, then it moved to, I want hybrid. This last week, I mean, we've had a great candidate registered, and she was fixed on hybrid. It's got to be 4 days working at home. Luckily, she contacted at the weekend and said, right, I do want to move now. I've got my head around the fact I need to be back in an office 5 days a week. I'm not going to get the role I want doing hybrid. So it's moving, it's changing. I don't know, it's each individual preference, but what was the first part of your question?
I guess, are you seeing sort of trends that have come out of COVID that are leading to where we are at the moment? Is it less about the economics and more about working conditions, or are you finding that it's with certainly in the last couple of weeks, it's now suddenly flipped on its head and it's moving back to economics of whether people will move or not, and actually they're willing to compromise on the working conditions?
Yeah, I think each individual case is different. When you mentioned have people's values changed, well, what's interesting is commitment to the process of interview. A couple of months ago, people were dropping out of the interview process at all different levels, and businesses were experiencing sending out offer letters and not even getting a response to say they weren't even coming back, they weren't accepting the role. Then they were sending letters out to cancel the contract, and the question was, where's the commitment to the process? And you wouldn't have expected that a while ago. It seems to have settled now, though.
It's interesting. My background, a long time ago, I actually had a recruitment business, and it was working at the senior end of the market. And for everyone that dropped out, for every time that the threat was actually carried through, that there was a legal and financial repercussion to them accepting an offer and then pulling out because there was a cost.
Yes.
You only need a couple of candidates to get sued by a future employer, and all of a sudden word gets out that that's not the done thing. So whether it was because they were very serious, they were very considered about making a move at that kind of level, I don't know, but it's interesting that can drive it. So I'm interested to know, how did COVID affect you? I mean, it affected businesses, and certain businesses overnight shut down, but how did it affect you, and how have you changed moving forward in terms of how you're operating as a business?
So I think, how did it affect us? Well, I mean, there was so much uncertainty, and you have to be resilient. And the hardest thing for me during the lockdown was actually making sure that I was taking care of my staff, my team. Because at different times I had somebody else going through a difficult time, and it was making sure that my duty of care was spot on. This is how somebody needs to be treated. And actually, if this was my daughter or my son sat there saying this, how would I want somebody to respond to them? And it was just to do the right thing. I saw some terrible things with that.
I say it was unprecedented, and it was quite a good description when people say it's unprecedented times. None of us had to deal with something on that scale or that sort of intensity in the past, and it changed everything. The rule book literally got ripped up overnight, which, and I don't think there was a safe industry to go, well, we're all right. It was, it hit everyone hard. What are you noticing now, though, that you're doing different? Has there been a greater appetite for the interim, where there is less long-term commitment outside of a project? Is that side, starting to pick up more?
I think it's just for me, listening to what people want and what their motivation to move is. So you've got people who will come out of being contracting and go into a fixed term, and the salary isn't the same level, but the opportunity, and it's what they've decided was important to them during that time of change when it was forced upon them, of what is my priority now? How shall I realign what is important to me about where I work, how I work, how long I work?
There's a timing aspect, the introduction or reintroduction of IR35 and how contractors are tax, and who pays that tax for them, i.e. the employer that it's shifted onto over a certain size. Timing wise, couldn't have come at a more difficult time. A lot of people who were contracting ended up going into permanent positions because they were going to be financially absolutely clobbered. And that sort of blurred some of the data, I guess, of what was driven by COVID and what was driven by tax implications of employment status. So as a business, then you said there's two different sides, and it's very much, I guess, up to you where you see the uniqueness, I guess. But what makes you different? What makes Pyramid 8 the partner of choice for moving forward for people's end recruitment? Because you've kept great longevity, you've kept great relationships with clients. So what would you put that down to? What makes you different?
Well, it is about the relationships that you build, and your integrity, and delivering a good service. And our strapline is, it's all about the people, and it really is. It's about the people in our team, it's about the people that we work with, and it's about the candidates that we work with, the people that want the opportunities, and it's bringing the right mix together to get it right and to keep those relationships ongoing.
And what we see across all industries, I guess, and that's something that you have to work on. It's not
Yes.
given. You can't just do a good job and that's enough. You have to remind people that that is the job that you've actually done for them, because they're often far too quick to just take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know, and there's if this situation doesn't arise, then you have to keep people sweet. But there's something called learned helplessness, i.e., I've had a bad experience and therefore I tar everyone with the same brush.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, oh, I've
So,
had a bad experience dealing with recruiters, they're all the same.
yes.
And actually, that works in your favor when you're picking up new business if you are
Yeah.
different, if you provide a different level. But that only goes so far.
Yeah, but
Because
I mean,
everyone only remembers their last experience, not the first
exactly,
one.
and that makes me smile when you say that. It makes me laugh. That's what I was laughing at when you said people have had bad experience with recruiters. There's quite a lot of business owners that I've worked with over the years that have actually said the same phrase. I mean, yeah, there might be Yorkshire anyway, but and they just said, I never liked recruiters until I met Emma.
Yeah. I was going to say that if they're typical Yorkshire business owners, as I am, so I can say this, I'm allowed to say this, but they'll also say, and how much?
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah, short
that's
arms, deep
exactly it.
pockets, and so the phrase goes. So you've seen it through, let's say, some very challenging times with COVID. You come out of that with a business that still has this unique relationship with the healthcare sector. You're
Yeah,
doing work on a continuous basis with a lot of different businesses locally and geocentrically around where you're actually based. So geographically, you said it's that sort of A1 to the M1
yeah.
kind of
So we're Yorkshire.
M62.
Yeah. So we work with a lot of SMEs, and the NHS stuff is national.
Yeah.
And actually, in fact, there's quite a lot of working at home hybrid opportunity with the NHS now. The amount of people I speak to at senior level that actually do work from home majority of the time.
It's the way that it's going. You know, the need, especially on programs and projects, to actually be in one place is unlikely to be required around that. There's always going to be other stakeholders that are located elsewhere that you need to bring together.
Yeah.
So it is that kind of thing. So what do you see as the next steps for Pyramid 8? Where are you heading as a business?
So growth.
Mm-hmm.
Would like a couple more recruiters to come in that have got a good sense of humour and can do recruitment.
Both
Definitely.
help.
Yeah. So and just expand in the market space that we're in. We are building the businesses locally. We're getting a lot more business coming. I think it's the climate that we're in, and they're just ringing up, finding us on Google, which is good. That happened like last week. Oh, how did you hear about us? Well, I just put this in, and you were at the top of Google. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Always good.
Yeah.
Algorithms working for you.
Yeah, we want to grow the arms of the business that we've got and develop, whether that is junior people. We definitely need at least one experienced recruiter. And I've just got one recruiter here who's just turned 10 years service with us. So that was something to celebrate last month. Just
more of the same in the area. And for those not from the sort of area who aren't sort of familiar, what are the main sort of catchment area towns where if you're in business in one of these kind of towns, is it for you? Are you going to be that expert? So what's that sort of ring geocentrically that you're targeting?
So I don't. Can you just ask that again? Sorry.
Yeah, so geographically, I mean, I know you're based actually in Pontefract or Castleford or that sort of neck of the woods. So do you cover as far as, I don't know, Selby, and do you go as far north as, I don't know, do you go into Leeds as such, or you focus more on sort of Wakefield and in between Wakefield and Selby, I guess?
Yeah. So as we're located at junction 32 of the M62, we've got really good access to a lot of places. So predominantly in the SME area, all across the WF postcode area, but into LS, because where we're situated, you're very close to the DN postcode, the LS postcode. In that circle, actually, geographically, it's like a few miles that way, you're in South Yorkshire, East Yorkshire, West Yorkshire. So we've got a fantastic
do you do stuff down as far as Doncaster and that sort of area? And is that pretty much the sort of boundary? So Barnsley, Doncaster, Wakefield, bits of Leeds, and Selby up to York, or?
Yeah, we do. We've got a couple of clients, Hull, over Huddersfield, and if we've got one organisation, and then they might have another office in Manchester. It just depends how their situation and where their growth is.
But the primary thing is to focus on what's on your doorstep and service them well, rather than go, no, we can do things, on the south coast of England, and there might be someone more local that can do, a decent job if it's non-industry specific.
Something that is important and has been important to a certain amount of people, but since the lockdown and COVID, the amount of travel that people want to do with their commute. So where we're located, we've got access to a wide range of candidates, and the ones that now don't want to travel into the city or would like to be closer to home, they've had a rethink on what the salary is, what role they want, how much flexibility, work-life balance, and it gives us a lot of opportunity to bring skill sets back closer in. And also what we've noticed in the last couple of months, there's the percentage of candidates that probably at a certain level, have been working a few years, don't drive, I've got no intention to drive. We can really keep the skill set local. It's moving towards, I can walk to work, I can cycle to work. We are feeling that at the minute in the last couple of months.
I mean, as you say, you're in a great catchment area, which, has decent enough links. And some of the train stations and whatever are a little bit slow or less well serviced or whatever, but you're right on that major road network of being able to access straight into to major cities within not too long, which is absolutely ideal.
It is for driving and the train commute. So there's a lot of access. I mean, to be honest, we're WF10, 30 minutes from me. There's so many opportunities, different sized businesses.
And it's interesting. One thing that came out of COVID, actually, and out lockdown, the amount of businesses that started and went, everyone's on Zoom now, so I can just access loads of people in London, or I can access people in wherever it is. And you're going, how many opportunities are within a 5-mile radius of where you actually live? Oh, well,
massive.
Yeah, exactly. It's right on your doorstep, but everyone gets lost in this. Have internet, can go global. Sort out your ducks on your own doorstep first.
We have noticed very recently with local clients. So I'm talking like 10 miles and closer than our office in WF10. Big businesses offering interesting things to go with the package. So the salary, there's things like you can have a day off for your birthday, a day off for Christmas shopping. After you've been here 2 years, we'll pay for your weekend away with you and for you and your partner or somebody you'd like to take. Or I've got 2 local businesses, an engineering one and a German-based one, and they both offer unlimited holidays.
Take as much as you want.
It's really interesting how it's done. Because actually, if you're where you should be with your work that you're doing, and everything's as it should be, your KPIs, you can ask the MD for an extra day's holiday or a little bit longer leave.
And it's something that a few years ago Dan Pinks wrote about in one of his books, and he was talking about what he classes as a results only work environment, where you can have a stay-at-home parent who is nipping out to the shops, delivering excellent customer service, They don't physically have to be in an office to be able
No.
to do their job exceptionally well. They just have to be committed to say, what I put in, I will in different ways receive back, because I then get that flexibility to pretty much work around my life, not, have to go the other way.
Yeah, I've got another client in Leeds that offer a monthly and a quarterly bonus, and it's called Never Late, Never Ill.
Which
So
is
yeah, it's just interesting things coming out that are, I don't know, are desirable, and I think we're going to see more businesses offering unusual things than what they used to, especially in Yorkshire. Because when you talk about the Yorkshire business owner, I do have a bit of a laugh. I've got an HVAC client in Halifax that I'm speaking to, and yeah, proper Yorkshire people. So it's like, well, do you know how much it'll cost us to get a member of staff in with the recruitment agency, to get right member of staff in? Well, I'll tell you what, I know how much it'll cost you to get wrong at him.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's
it's like,
I think was it Richard Branson, whether it was him or just attributed to him, but it did the sort of circuits, and it was the mindset of a leader or a chief exec versus the financial director, and the financial director is the one saying, what if we invest all this money into training and then they go off to a competitor? It's like, but the chief exec will actually say, what if we invest nothing in them and they stay?
exactly.
Even worse, so which do you want? Investing in people's career actually will attract more people, and that's a much more positive thing. So brilliant. Well, clearly it's a market that's it's ever evolving. It's certain things that you're doing are definitely unique in terms of the NHS and your ability to service a very particular market. But you're doing exactly the right things by the sound of it, of keeping it on your doorstep, servicing people on your doorstep as well as you possibly can, and differentiating yourselves for the future. So it's bringing us towards the end of the interview. Are there any areas that we've not covered that you go, oh yeah, I'd love to put that out, in case people are watching, but anything we've not covered today, Emma?
Well, no, not really. I think the candidate market's definitely picking up. There's a lot more candidates coming to market, and I just think that if anybody's out there that's thinking, oh, I don't know if I dare, or I don't know if I should, I don't know if I want to, it's really not scary to just come and have a chat and just find out what actually is going on and what kind of businesses are out there. The businesses really give you a day off for your birthday. Can you have unlimited holidays? And do you know what I mean? It's nice to know what's out there, because if you've worked in an organisation for a long time, unless you know what your friends tell you, you don't know anything different, do you? That what's on your doorstep.
And people are having to be more innovative in terms of doing things differently. They've got to have something that makes them a more preferable option than someone else who's just doing it in the same old way and nothing's changed. We can't just plaster over what inherently were fundamental issues with how a lot of businesses were being operated. So things have changed. Hopefully we'll continue to see that influencing things and moving in the right direction. So,
and I think the only other thing I'd say is, in terms of speaking to other business owners and leaders, then when you get a resignation, then you have to go on right, we've got to get another person in, let's go down the line. I think the biggest light bulb moment would be to say to another business owner or a leader, for them to be able to spot the disengagement of a member of staff, and that's when you contact your recruiter.
Yeah.
And if you can highlight the disengagement point, then it's going to save you time and it's going to save you cost.
And equally, it means that they can do something about it for the future if they choose to. If they just go, well, that's
re-engage, or you can start looking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the old adage of, essentially with businesses where they've got a position, one of two things has happened. They, quite often they've either recruited poorly or managed them poorly. It's one of the two. It can't, sometimes external factors happen, but if the person chooses to leave them, they either have the wrong person or they've created the wrong person and created the wrong environment for that person. And it's up to them whether they just move on or learn from it as well. So very interesting. And I mean, that does bring us towards the end of the interview. So really just remains to thank Emma for sharing. It's been very insightful and great to have you with smiling, full of the sort of joys of summer on this cloudy day. Finally, that we've got rain or whatever that we've not had in ages. But absolute ray of light. You clearly love what you do, and that passion really does come along. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Also, just like to thank everyone for watching this. The Spotlight interviews, as I say, it's all for the purpose of highlighting what's going on with businesses. If you want to do this for your own business, simply get in touch. When we publish and circulate these interviews on YouTube and LinkedIn and all the different platforms, we'll always put a route for how you can book in your own interview, so you can start showcasing everything that's happening in your business as well. So thanks again. As a final thing, thanks again to Emma. So thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
And thank you for everyone who's been watching another of our Business Spotlight interviews. I've been Ron Maycock. We'll see you soon. Keep smiling. Take care.